I mean, the biggest thing I'd say is it's definitely, obviously we know Coach Dillingham and what he does offensively. So by no means would I ever call it my offense. I mean, this is something where I was able to come in and pick up on a lot of things that Coach Dillingham's had success doing, how he did them, why he did them, and then merge in at certain things that I've enjoyed, that I've had success with. That was part of the reason, in hiring is we felt like we could play off each other in certain things that were maybe his strengths and certain things that were my strengths. But ultimately, at the end of the day, and they were asking me, it's tough for me to put a tag on it, Tim. I mean, I would call it, I know it might be a blanket term, but I would call it very multiple and very versatile. Because even while I was at Eastern Washington, kind of like what I was talking about with Troy, even while I was at Eastern Washington, my offenses at different times were very successful, almost to a very similar total yardage gain or points per game, yet they would look different if you turned on film. But they were basing it, and that's what Coach Dillingham's so good at too. And I'm just a firm believer in that. We have enough stuff we can do. We're going to still build our multiple or our versatile offense around the players, and fit it to them, because that's going to allow them the freedom of being in that zone. Because I think it's always kind of it's an easy way out to say, well, I just don't have the guys to run my system. I got to recruit. I got to recruit for a while. No, these are the guys. And there are plenty of guys. It's our job to create that system, so to speak, or at least tweak whatever you do, year to year to fit their strengths.
One of the interesting things is a year ago, I think a lot of us were saying that pass catching group might have been a deficiency on this team, and now it looks to me like it's one of the strengths of the offensive team.
I would agree. I mean, the group was, like you say, pass catchers, because you got to include tight ends in that too. So you almost, pass catchers, it definitely is a strength on this team.
Jalen looks to me like he's poised to become an All-American this year.
I always want to just put one, I'm coach talk, so it's like you want to earn everything. You got to do it on the field. You got to, all those stuff. But I have very high expectations, and he does for himself. I love coaching him, and so he's someone that I'm excited to see. What he's going to do this year, but he's going to be the first to tell you. Ultimately, I got to go out and grind practice one, have a great practice. Well, you do, and you have to take that mindset. You can't get too far ahead.
It was so fun to watch. Sometimes you see games or moments where a kid grows up and he had 3 touchdown catches in that game at Colorado last year, and that was the wow moment. And from that point on, you could just see the confidence growing him down the stretch.
I know. And watching that, it's funny, watching that game and watching those clips before I ever got to practice with Jalen, oh my God. Then going through 15 practices, if I turn that film back on, I'm like, you know what I mean? I hate to say that. That's almost unfair. It's like before you've seen, a guy like Steph Curry, and you see him make a bunch, but then you watch him for a while, and you're like, he's gonna make that. He's gonna. And that's how it is now with Jalen. Like, I'll turn that film back on after going 15 practices, and I'm not shocked he came down with that one or that one.
Tell me about Cam and what kind of running back he is, what style, what can we expect to see?
I think he's the type of guy that sometimes can get I don't want to say labeled, but as a bruiser. But he has much more lateral quickness, short area quickness, the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, than people might sometimes expect or give him credit. So ultimately, to me, he is an every down back who can win on a rep with both speed and power. I should say quickness and power. Speed's not even the right word. Not that he's not fast, but it's more he can win on a rep with both quickness and power. And some backs don't have it. Some backs, they have to use their quicks. Some backs have to use their power. He's got it both. And he can catch the ball out of the backfield. So
Coach Carrington was just talking about some of his FCS guys and what a motivating factor it is to get to this level and show what you can do. And you sense that same thing with Cam?
There's no doubt they have chips on their shoulder. You know what I mean? They do. They have chips on their shoulder, and they're just not that we don't, because I don't want to sit here and act like others aren't appreciative.
Right.
But sometimes you can be that much more appreciative. You know, when let's be honest, you've had hamburger helper, and all of a sudden you get a little taste of steak once in a while. You know, whereas when all you know is steak, it's it's different. You know, and you can just be appreciative of that. So they have those chips on their shoulder. They're appreciative for even the little things that sometimes we can take for granted at this level. You know, so they're very appreciative of that. And they do. They felt. They're naturally, maybe, I don't want to say felt slighted, but felt like out of high school, I could have been recruited at a higher level, so they come at it. They're all a lot like Brian Harmon.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
You saw that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
He doesn't hit the ball out of the shadow compared to the rest of the golfers.
Seriously.
But
does Cam pronounce his last name Scatabo?
I think it's almost Scataboo.
Scattaboo?
Yeah.
I kind of thought that.
It's Scataboo, but I'll be the first to admit a lot of people F this up, and I could have been one of them.
Yeah.
Because I've said, but you can get that confirmed.
I will have to check
But
that.
if you're asking me 50-50, and I got to say it, I'm almost positive it's Boo at the end.
Yeah.
There's Iguano. We can ask him right now, too.
Yeah. How about the rest of your running back group?
Great group. And I was fortunate enough to be a part of recruiting Carlos Brooks, and I was, and had him for 1 year at Cal too.
Oh, that's right.
My last year at Cal was his freshman year, so I've known him back to recruiting. He's again very versatile. He's that's what I love about the whole group. They all catch the ball well out of the backfield. They all can go out and run routes. So when you're that versatile, I don't have to worry about who's in the game and have that determine what play I call.
Yeah.
And that's all we said. Then you have to start really packaging things. Like, oh, shoot, I called that, but I need so-and-so in. Where now you can still play with tempo no matter who's on the field and know that I can get to everything that's in the game plan. And Carlos brings that too. He's got that. He's got strength and pop as well. And both him and Cam will put him. They're gonna punish.
Yeah.
And then Tevin as well.
Yeah.
And I know you're probably asking about Tevin next.
He showed some flashes. He didn't get much opportunity, but when he was in there, he's from my neck of the woods. I grew up in Northern Virginia, outside of D.C. And
love Tevin.
Yeah, he showed, kind of tantalized him a little bit with what he showed out there.
He's got the right attitude. He's got the right mindset. He probably didn't get as many reps in spring as those guys.
Right.
Part of it, he was out for a little bit of it. So I think the jumps he's going to make from spring to fall might be as big as anyone in that group. Just simply because he just didn't end up as healthy during spring. And when it's a new system, and you don't, it takes going through the entire spring to finally start to feel more and more comfortable. So I'm excited about Tevin's next jump he's going to take while he's here.
Yeah, sure. How do you like your quarterback group?
Love
I
him.
think you got 3 good kids, or 4 good kids.
Really full, yeah. And I love working with all of them. And they're all different. They're all different with their strengths and weaknesses on the field. They're all different off the field, personality-wise. But they all have a common denominator that they all are selfless. They're competitive as all can be. Now, one of them doesn't want to do everything they can to be a starter, but they do it in the right way. So even when they're competing against each other and should be and this and that, but they're doing it still in the way. I still see them go out of the way to help each other for the betterment of the whole team. Not one of them doesn't want to be the guy on the field, and they should think that way. But every one of them would have, would be right there in the foxhole with whoever is.
I love the blend. You got Bourget, who played here last year and played well. You got Drew Pine, who played last year at Notre Dame and played well. And then you got Jaden, the kind of guy you want to recruit here year after year to get those 4- and 5-star guys and a legacy player.
Yep.
And then the kid from
Jacob.
Yeah, Jacob is a local kid.
Local kid, played really well for Coach Iguano
Yeah.
at Chandler, and BYU kid.
What's the difference you see in the personalities of them?
It's funny. Well, Jacob's engaged. Jacob's, so he's very. They all have great personalities. They all have good humor and stuff. But Jacob's very I wouldn't even say it just almost he carries himself a little more like an old soul, and just has that. Like I said, he's engaged. He's kind of ahead of the curve sometimes that way.
Did he do a mission?
Yes.
Because a
Yes.
lot of those missionary
Yes.
kids do
He's a
come back
little bit older.
a
Yep.
little mature,
Yep. So you just see that. Not that the other guys aren't mature, but it's just a different.
Yeah. Oh,
It's a little more in that realm.